Hello, my friends. So I welcome you in the love and in the light of the one infinite creator. And in today's session, I have channeled the Galactic Federation in order to query about a very interesting topic. Primarily, it is to do with the Ark of the Covenant. Now, this also may be considered as a very highly debated topic because of course, the Ark of the Covenant is considered as a very sacred object, and so I need to tell you, before you listen to this information, okay, I need all of you to make sure that you use complete discernment in your mind, because I want to make sure that this is not an infringement upon your free will. You are free to accept or to reject this information, okay? So in this session, what I have asked is about the Ark of the Covenant, and it turns out there's something else going on. And the thing is, in this session, what I have asked is, I have asked about, how many lives can one soul live at the same time? And this stuff is really fascinating. I found it was really informative, and also the Galactic Federation, they have shared information about the twin flame concept. So of course, it's two things are answered in this one single query, which I found really fascinating, and that is why some people they meet their twin flames and why some people they do not meet their twin flames. So that is also answered. And the other thing that I have asked about is the Ark of the Covenant, like I said before. And turns out there is something else going on. So right now, we already know that there is some conflict happening in Ukraine and Russia. And, as per this information, it is related with the Ark of the Covenant. So you will understand this, okay? You need to listen to it carefully. You will understand what they're saying. And I will explain at the end of the session, so don't worry about it, okay? I will give you an explanation of what I learned. So the last thing they talk about in the session is, how we can tune into synchronicities in our life. Now, what I mean by synchronicities is, sometimes, whenever, you're doing something positive happens without you actually trying to, get it. Or sometimes, some negative things happens without any warning. So that is a synchronous moment, okay? Something positive happens, or something, sometimes, if you are not in a positive vibration, negative things may also happen. So what they are trying to say is we can tune into positive synchronicities in our life, so that how can we make sure that we only receive those positive synchronicities in our experience. So this is a wonderful session, and I hope all of you will enjoy this. And before I start the session, I want to say a big thank you to all of you for liking the video, because it helps to reach out to people who need to see this information. With that being said, here is the session, my friends. Enjoy it. We are the Galactic Federation now, communicating through this channel's vibration, and we are located in our station in the Saturn planet, as known by your people in your vibratory sound complex terms. We, the Galactic Federation, are now inviting those entities who are willing to listen to our message, however, with discernment in the mind, to listen to our thought forms and only accept those which resonate deeply with the inner heart. We as the Galactic Federation are now being queried by this instrument's mind complex for certain understandings of the aspects that are prevalent upon your planetary sphere. These understandings are primitive upon your planet, and many of those entities who are upon your planet learning the lessons of love and compassion of the fourth density find it necessary to learn the teachings which we shall today share, using the free will which has been vested within each mind, body, and spirit upon your planetary sphere to choose the type of lessons learned and the type of information that will be accepted. The first query we can scan upon the mind of this channel pertains to
The understanding of how many lives can a soul have at the same time. In this regard, we shall now address the query which pertains to the timeline of a soul, as well as the incarnations which occur at the same time. Since many upon your planet are already aware of the various densities of consciousness which exist in parallel, there are densities even higher above those which now you currently find yourself in, which means that each of you exists in all densities at the same time, however separated by the distortion of love known as time. This distortion of love has created a separation of experience for each one of you. In the various densities each one of you find yourself in, learning the various lessons required to sharpen your souls and to purify your spiritual essence in order to unify once again as the pure consciousness of the unity and the one infinite creator. Therefore, we as the Galactic Federation would like to state that there are souls upon your planet who exist concurrently in the same lifetime. These souls who occur in twice rhythms upon your planet are known as the twin flames, who are the same souls existing and separated as two individualized portions of consciousness upon your planet. However, the essence of the soul is the same. Hence, there are those beings upon your planet who are separated by distance and experience, but the soul signature and the lessons to be learned are similar. Hence, sometimes these entities, they find themselves and they meet such entities using the synchronous moments of connection with the divine essence of the one infinite creator. And also, certain synchronous moments lead these entities to find each other's twin flame. There are also those entities upon your planet who have not yet activated and opened the heart energy center, which allows for such union to occur. The union of such souls who are existing in the same timeline at the same time primarily firstly requires the recognition of the inner love within the heart center by each entity, which will then allow the cosmic rays of love to interconnect such entities together. And once they connect with each other, they will find themselves similar in more ways than one. Even the vibrations of such entities will be similar, which signifies that they are the same soul, living the same life in concurrent situations simultaneously. This is possible upon your planetary sphere, and there are many beings upon your planet who already have this type of experience. For each one of you, there is a twin flame who is your own soul, separated and divided into another counterpart. Most of these situations are divided into the opposite sexes as known by your people. For a male will find a female counterpart as a twin flame who is existing at the same time upon your planet, and so on. There may be situations also upon your planet wherein one soul may find its own lower density version at the same time, which means that some of your pets may be your own soul existing together at the same time trying to learn the lesson of third density. However, this recognition is very hard to recognize for many entities. Hence, we must suggest that each entity who shall find such beings of love and compassion must look at each other as the self and serve the one creator as serving the self with the love of the one creator, and the service to others shall be the greatest service. For the service to oneself, if it is done in a manner as it can be equated to service to others, can be considered as the greatest service, because once each entity is able to recognize the other being as the self, and the service done is given as 100% service to others, this will be the greatest service to others and the greatest potential accelerator for such souls to enter into a higher vibration of love and compassion. We shall now address the other query. which this entity has placed before us. The other query pertains to the object known as the Ark of the Covenant. As we, the Galactic Federation, scan this Ark of the Covenant object, which was provided to an entity known as Moses, upon the planetary distortion vibration of language by certain oriented entities of negative polarity. These information contained in the Ark of the Covenant, which include the 2 tablets and the 10 commandments, were handed over by a negatively oriented entity in the form of a Orion being, which disguised itself as the one infinite creator and thereby created certain rules, which were in essence a distortion of the negative polarity, because all the rules of control are laid down by the negative. These rules were handed down in positive framework, and the entity known as Moses, receiving such information, felt it was doing a great service to the unity consciousness by spreading this knowledge of the 10 commandments. Therefore, this entity's service was untainted because it was not aware that the negative polarized entities had switched such information, in essence creating negative distortions hidden beneath the positive. This information was handed over by 5th density Orions at the time space continuum of the existence of this entity known as Moses. Furthermore, the instructions for the creation of the Ark of the Covenant, which acts as a channeling device of electromagnetics for channeling the in-streaming energies from the Orion star system, and for the purpose of spreading the electromagnetics of synchronicities which pull negative polarity and negative situations towards such a location wherein the device is activated. With the Galactic Federation now take the liberty at this time to share with you that the location of the Ark of the Covenant previously was in the lands known as Ethiopia, as per your language vibration terms, and now it has been shifted by some of the negative polarized entities who primarily worked as the bidding or the bidders for the Orion entities in the form of human consciousness. These entities have taken the Orion device known as the Ark of the Covenant to the location known as Kiev in the lands known as Ukraine, as per your language vibration. This is the reason why there is an activation of the Ark of the Covenant in this land, which has created the attraction of negative energy towards it. This Ark of the Covenant feeds upon negative forces, and more fear, anger, and hatred, the more powerful it becomes. The Ark of the Covenant has been activated currently upon your planetary sphere, which is creating a large number of distortion of negative polarity in the lands known as Ukraine. Hence, we as the Galactic Federation would like to suggest those entities who shall, in essence, if by chance come in contact with the device, to take the device and then bury it inside a chamber of love and light, of water, which can be exposed with love light. And once this device is stored in a chamber of love light exposed water, this will neutralize the energies in streaming from the electromagnetics of this device, which is causing the negative synchronicities to be attracted to it. Furthermore, there are many people upon your planet who do not realize how the synchronicities work upon your planet. Hence, as the topic may be related to your people, we shall now address this query. Each of you is an electromagnetic being, which means that each one of you also has a portion of consciousness of the positive and the negative charge upon your bodily complex. Many are those upon your planet who have not yet realized that each of your positive and the negative charges can be used to influence your bodily complex to create synchronous moments which can be tapped once you are able to access intelligent infinity. The process is simply to firstly take a thought, whether it be a positive or a negative thought, and then take the emotion behind the thought. And once the emotion has been programmed inside your bodily complex, which is the subconscious portion of your mind. Once your body remembers the emotions, the subconscious portion of the mind then communicates with your spirit, which in essence is in contact with intelligent infinity, and the synchronicities begin to arise. This is also the reason why there are many people upon your planet who, when feeling a positive emotion and when their bodily complex has been programmed to the positive, find themselves receiving positive synchronicities, meeting people of positive nature, finding gifts of positive nature, and so on. The similarities between positive and the negative synchronicities is the same, as the programming can be done either in the positive or the negative. However, the choice of each entity is respected. This is the same way the Ark of the Covenant has been created. However, the Ark of the Covenant, once activated, uses the Orion energy system to create synchronicities of a negative nature, thereby pulling negative situations towards it, arising out of the one infinite intelligence, which creates the power of creation of situations and of objects without any need for such a creation to occur through the means of the laws of space and time. Since the infinite intelligence, once activated, is in contact with time-space, it can bridge forth the gap between time-space and space-time, thereby creating such synchronicities upon your planetary sphere, and leading those entities who want to experience such synchronicities to find themselves in situations of either positive or negative. Hence, we as the Galactic Federation would like to state that each entity must be conscious of the types of thought forms and the emotions they are entertaining, because each emotion and thought form creates a synchronicity. And once the bodily complex has been programmed, the subconscious portion of the mind begins to tap into the infinite intelligence to create synchronicities of positive or negative nature. Hence, we as the Galactic Federation would like to suggest a simple method of tapping into the positive synchronicities in your life. The process is simple. Firstly, to use a symbol which you want to experience. For example, if an entity upon your planetary sphere wanted to experience health, then such entities can create an image or a symbol which would signify complete health within its bodily complex. And this symbol could be represented by any image inside the mind. And once the image has been associated with health, this entity can then use such an image during its meditative state, wherein the disconnection with the egoic self is present and wherein it becomes pure consciousness. Focusing on such image will give it the emotion of already becoming that which it wants to be, and such symbolism will allow its bodily complex to be programmed towards the positive health situation in such a manner to attract the synchronicities which will allow it to regain the type of emotion it has programmed inside its bodily complex. Therefore, this is an example of how such a situation can be used. We as the Galactic Federation disconnect now in love and light of the One Creator. Bye.
So my friends, after watching this session, I'm going to give you my explanation of what I learned from this session, which was really interesting. One of the things that I found really interesting is about, how many lives can a soul live at one time. Now, what they said in this session is, that there are people upon the planet, who have, multiple lifetimes. Okay, like all of us are, they said that we are existing in different densities at the same time. We are just separated by time. Okay. And that's why, it feels like, our higher self is in the future, or it feels like, our second density animal, counterpart, which we were before becoming a human, is in a time prior to this. So because of the time separation, it feels like we are separate. But what they said is it is happening concurrently because time doesn't exist in the higher dimensions. And the other thing that they have said, which I found really fascinating, was there may be moments in our incarnation wherein, we have an exact soul like us experiencing life on the planet known as the twin flame. Now what this said is, we can find our twin flame by firstly finding the twin flame within, firstly finding the love within. So what this said is, if we are able to activate the love within, to find that love within ourselves, and then somehow we will meet that twin flame who is our own self, living a similar life as us, but most of the time they said it is in opposite sexes form, which means that if I'm a man, my twin flame could be a girl. Okay, this is what they said. The other thing that they said in this session is, the Ark of the Covenant was actually a type of device which was given by the Orions, which disguised as a positive being to the entity known as Moses. Now what the Ark was designed to do is it was designed to act as an electromagnetic device which could access intelligent energy to then bring forth this type of synchronicities of negative nature. So they said that the Ark of the Covenants previously was in the lands known as Ethiopia, and now it is found in Kiev in Ukraine. So it has been activated in Ukraine, and this is, I believe, the reason why there is negative things happening in that area, right? Now I don't know like how this thing works, but I believe they gave an example of how it works. Is that once it is activated, it is able to tune into this intelligent infinity, and then it is able to attract negative things. So also what they said is, if someone was to find the Ark of the Covenant, what they can do is they can submerge it inside love and light exposed water to neutralize its powers. So I don't know how we are going to find it, but anyways, let's see, let's hope for the best. The other thing is, they talk about how we can select synchronicities in our life. Now what they said, as far as I understand, is our mind has thoughts, our body it has emotions, and then we have the spirit or the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is connected to our spirit. So whenever we have a thought, and then if we remember the thought, it has an emotion. Okay, if we focus on the emotion more and more, our body becomes programmed towards that emotion, and then our body, as the subconscious mind, it can then communicate with the spirit, which is in connection with infinite intelligence, and then it can bring forth the positive or the negative synchronicities in our life. So I think this is very, very wonderful information which has been passed to us by the Galactic Federation. I'm really thankful. And the other thing that I learned was, to be very careful of the type of emotions or the type of thoughts we are thinking, because we may sometimes unknowingly, because our body is programmed towards the negative emotions, be attracting those negative synchronicities. So it's vitally important we become conscious of the type of emotions, the type of thought forms we are holding, because they will attract the synchronous moments. Sometimes some people say, oh, suddenly something good happened to me, right? Now how did that happen? The process is explained in the session, because the person was holding a positive image, and sometimes some people say, oh, such and such thing happened which I didn't expect. And that was because they were holding that emotion inside their body, which is the subconscious mind, which then communicates with the spirit. So this is what I learned from the session, and I hope all of you learned something from the session which you can apply in your life. And also, before I end the session, I want to say big thank you to all of you for watching the video and also liking the video. And also I want to say big thank you to all of you for supporting me on my Patreon, where I upload sessions almost on a daily basis. And then the other thing is, I want to say big thank you to all of you for sending me requests for past life sessions. As I get free time, I help you find your own soul origins, your where did you come from and stuff. It's really interesting. For some people it helps them a lot. And also I want to say, before I end the session, there is another video related to this topic you can watch here by clicking on this. With that being said, see you in the next session, my friends.